Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for coming back and joining me to listen on my spiritual journey here. And I just wanted to dive in a little bit about my time leading up to raising my first shrine. So we had to get our saka up. We needed that before we could raise. Well, it was better that we had a saka up before I raised my shrine. And it doing a saka is a lot of work. Um, but I'm so thankful for Challenge Cousins and my mother-in-law and his auntie for coming to support us to help us do our saka. I feel like every single time we do it, which is this is our second time now, but every single time we do it, I feel so complete. Like I just feel so content, after having the saka up. I don't know if it's just because it was just 3 days of like a lot of work, and staying up all night or what it is, but after it's done, I feel so relieved, with the house, the family. But that's just me. But um, it was months. It was a few months before I could raise my first shrine. And I don't know how you guys who have waited so long before you can raise your shrine. But again, like I said, I was 10 plus years overdue. And I went through so much physical pain and insomnia and just feeling really anxious just because my guys knew that the time was coming. They knew that the time was coming and they were really anxious. They were ready to go. But for me, in the physical world, it's like longer. So I, went through the physical pain, and it wasn't like, it didn't feel like you broke an arm or a leg or something. It was just like body aches. And I had really, really bad back aches. You could try to massage it, you could use heat pad, medicine. Like none of it was working because it was a physical pain, like a back pain where it's like really deep in your tissue and you can't get it. You can't, no matter how much you try to massage it, you just can't hit the spot. And I felt like I was gonna go crazy because I was like, my gosh, is this how people who have chronic pain are going through? Like, this is so much. And then I'm thinking about all the other people who have waited this long to raise their shrine, or if they haven't even raised their shrine yet. And I'm like, my gosh, props to you guys. Like the physical pain is just so unbearable. I just don't know how anybody could do it. But to help relieve the pain, I didn't know that I could, or if I should have reached out to my teacher and let her know I'm dying over here, you know. So and thank goodness I did, because she was like, yeah, I think you might benefit from doing another shake test, or like another shake session. Sorry. And I'm like, cool. I scheduled an appointment. I went to go do another shake test, or sorry, another shake session, and it just took everything away. Like everything just went away. I can't even explain it to you, but I felt like a whole new woman. I just felt like I am free to go and enjoy my life for a little bit before raising my first shrine. So I actually went, I think, 2 or 3 times leading up to the day that I was going to raise my shrine. I think I went one more time a month before I had to raise my shrine because it was getting really bad. Like the insomnia was just getting really bad, And I think like the anxiousness didn't help either, which was, not which was making it harder for me to fall asleep. And the body ache, I just couldn't handle it anymore either. So all of that contributed to my lack of sleep. And so that was part of what had happened. And then I was also being haunted. There was one early morning. My husband was getting ready to go. He's gathering up his gears, to go hunting. And I remember I was sleeping, facing away from him. So I was facing the wall. And all of a sudden, I felt like I thought I heard my daughter's voice, my younger daughter. And she called for me and she says, Mom. And like, I opened my eyes and I was like, I know she's not in bed with me. And then I like turned around really fast and my husband like just stopped midway. He's like, what happened? And I said, there's something in our room. And he's looking around like there's nothing in our room. So then he just went about like getting his stuff. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go back to sleep and ignore it. So I went back to sleep. And like I remember it was still in our room. And then all of a sudden I heard laughter. It was a guy's laughter, like those scary like movies where like they kind of laugh really evil. Anyway, that was the laugh that I heard in the room. And at that time my husband was no longer in the room. And it sounded like somebody was standing on the edge of the bed. And the whole time I didn't even bother to wake up. I was like, my eyes were closed. I'm still sleeping because I'm like, I'm not going to let this bother me. I'm not going to let this bother me. But then the laugh sounded kind of evil. So then I was like, well, I don't know how to call my guys, but I'm just going to call them and tell them to handle it because I need my sleep. So, so that was what happened. And, I'm sure there's a few other stories that I can't think of at the top of my head right now, but it's probably not going to happen to everybody, but to me, I would have these like scary encounters. Okay, they're not scary to me, but these uncomfortable encounters. But so ceremony day, I actually had ordered a pig to be delivered to my house. It was, I can't remember at the top of my head what it was, but I can leave it in the description below. But I had the pig delivered to me instead of going to Hogmaster to go and pick out a pig. Just because we wanted to try it out. It's more convenient for us. And it was our first time. We didn't know like what to expect and stuff. And it was more important that my husband was home than out somewhere picking up a pig. So, but yeah, so we got our pig, and my teacher and her husha was there. They helped us set up the shrine, where to put the tools and stuff like that. But all at the same time, I'm like, running around with my head chopped off because people are asking me for this and that, and it's really hectic. It's really hectic. So, be ready for that. Unless you have a very, very supportive family. I think regardless of if you have a supportive family or not, it's still going to be very hectic. So we started. So my teacher, who played for me first, she did the first part of the hoopli. And then she went into the spiritual world to go and get my guides for me. She also cleansed me too and had to fix me and get rid of what was attached to me. So what had happened was that I had an attachment on me for the longest time. And this spirit that was attached to me kind of act like it was one of my spirit guides, one of my koning, but it was not. It would also say like negative things in my head sometimes. But it would also do things like if I really wanted something so bad, I'm manifesting it like, oh my gosh, I really want to meet this singer, or I really want this singer's shirt so bad. Sometimes I'll get it. Um, and so I remember I went to go do a reading session with my teacher, and she said that when she went to go look, there was a spirit with me, and as she was gonna get rid of it, it had its arm wrapped around me like this, like it was trying to protect me. And then her guide were like, nope, you can't kill it. You cannot get rid of it. So then she told me that if and when I do raise my shrine, then whoever teacher I pick will have to get rid of that spirit that is attached to me. So and when she did it, I didn't feel any different. I didn't really feel anything different during the ceremony. Yeah, but ceremony went very smoothly, and of course I got lectured at. They were like, you need to be patient with Challen. Like he is the head of the household. You have to be really patient with him and Oshante and teach him, right? I'm like, okay. I was thinking to myself, am I not doing that? Like, I think I am doing that. So that was a reminder to me. And then comes my turn. So I did my first shake on the bench in front of my first um, shrine, and everything went very smoothly. I did get lectured at. Some of my guys who stepped forward, they were like, we waited 10 plus years for you, and now you're just here. What took you so long? And everybody was there just watching me. And I was so like embarrassed, and I was like, well, I'm here now, like I didn't know. Um and yeah, they were not happy with me, and I can tell you I got lectured at for weeks. Okay, weeks after that. So that happened, and then once I was done getting lectured at, I did my first hoopli, which is the second part of the hoopli. And I chose to go with the gong and the horns, the set of horns, because that was what attracted to me most. I know that other people had used like the sinning without the spikes. And the gong and the horns really gravitated towards me. And that's why I chose the gong and the horns instead. But my first time hoopli, I was like, I cannot for life of me speak like fluent Hmong. Like, I can speak Hmong if you catch me at a good time. But when it comes to like the more complex Hmong language, I cannot speak like that. And, or the Hmong words, sorry. But my teacher was like kind of telling me step by step, like, okay, you need to make sure that you call yourself home and you call your Corning in them home and you say it like this. And I'm looking at her like, uh-huh. I'm what? What am I supposed to say? I'm looking at her as I am about to hit the gong, like, what? And she's like, okay, your turn. And I look out the door and I was like, I'm just gonna wing it. I'm just gonna wing it and see how it goes. So then I started hitting the gong, and the way that I chant in front of my shrine was very similar to how I hoopli. And I was like, no, like there's just no way. Like that's not how people do it. Like their hoopli shouldn't be similar to their chants. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. But that was all that was coming out of my head. Like that was all that I could hear. And I kind of just went with it. I was just like, okay, let me go with whatever word I could hear in my head first. And I'm just going to say, and hopefully it just comes down on its own. And when I was hitting the gong, and I started saying some words, and then everything just started coming out in Chinese. Do I have any idea what I was saying? Absolutely not. Was my intention there? Yes, it was. I knew who I was calling, what I was calling for, what I'm using and stuff. I knew all that. And as I was calling for them, I see like a bunch of my spirit guides like coming into the door. And I was like, wow, like, is this what like other shaman people see when they hoopli, Like, is this how they know that the spirits came home? Because all I see is just like a whole bunch of like of my spirit guides just coming through the door. Like they were ready to come through the door, like rushing into the door. And then here's me. Here's me just kind of standing out there. I'm calling it, come home. And then it finally comes, right? And I'm tossing my horn, but I'm just okay. It was my first time throwing horns, so don't even come at me. But they would flip the same direction, but then they would flip the other direction. Like I would have a set that flip up, but then I couldn't get them to flip down, or vice versa. So I had to call for them again. My teacher's like, yeah, after this long, you're gonna have to try to call them again. So I called them again this time, and it was a little bit shorter than the first time that I called them. And during all this, everybody is still there watching you. So just beware, you are the star of the show when you raise your first shrine. But everybody's there, just watching you. And I finally completed my first hoopli. Very proud of myself. Officially raising your first shrine is like a big accomplishment. I can't even tell you guys like how good it feels, because the struggles that I had to go through, all the tests, the haunting that I had to go through and stuff is so difficult for me. Okay, it was so difficult for me that I almost like had to reschedule raising my first shrine because I felt like I needed a pause. Like I literally like a couple days prior I was like, I need a pause. I need to pause this. Like I feel like it's not like I'm not ready, like it's not right, like I don't know what I'm doing, like maybe this is all wrong. Like I had all those doubts, all those negative thoughts in my head, and I had to take a pause on everything. And don't feel bad if you feel like you're you know you're losing it, because at the end of the day it's all a test. How much do you want it? So, and it was really nice. I think the only reason why I was able to get through it was because I had my husband's support. He kept encouraging me. He kept telling me that, everything you've been doing is leading up to this day. You have been doing light readings and stuff. It's fine. You're gonna be okay. And with my friends, supporting me too, it was just that was just like the boost that I really needed. And family members supporting me too, like it really warmed my heart, to have the people who genuinely care about me and who really support me. So that was how it went with my first shrine. A lot of chaos, but we made it through. I stuck to a very simple dish. I stuck with the boiled pork with greens. I did fried pork, and I did a couple chicken dish for the people who couldn't eat pork. And then I did copia for breakfast. Yes, just in case you guys want some ideas on, when you guys raise your first shrine. Um, I definitely recommend keeping it small and keeping it the meal simple. I know that is like something that you should go all out for, but I don't think so. Because you are the star of the party now. You are no longer the one in the background who's cooking and cleaning and stuff, which that was a transition that I had to get used to. And I wanted to hide. I wanted to hide and go back and just cook and clean like what I was taught to do and not be like the star of the party. So that was hard. And it's still, I still have to get used to it. Yeah, I still have to get used to it because I still want to go and hide all the time. I'm not somebody who likes all the attention, all the eyes on me. I like to be the one who hides in a corner. That's me. But, if you are on your journey leading up to your first shrine, I wish you all the best of luck. And if I can do it, you can do it too. I went in with not knowing what to expect, not knowing what to do. I didn't have a lot of support when it came to shamanism. Like, both sides of our family weren't really into shamanism, so it's not like I knew what to do, what to expect. It's something that you see once in a blue moon, but it is definitely, a change in lifestyle. And I wish you guys nothing but the best. And thank you for joining me on my channel, Between Drums and Dreams. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.